It's a good way to start.
Yeah, it is. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Garbage Media Podcasting. Tonight we'll be reviewing The Matrix Reloaded. I'm your host and spirit animal, Terry Moose.
I'm the other host, Bill, and
I sprained my foot playing Guitar Hero. I'm Travis.
yeah, that's Travis. So
No comments on the spirit animal thing, huh? Okay, we'll just roll with it.
Let's start off with. I think Travis will actually enjoy this one. The music.
Oh, I love the music from The Matrix Reloaded. I love the music from all the Matrix movies, just because I really, really love Juno Reactor, and they really kind of shine in here. In every key scene that people seem to love, the music just kicks it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the better parts of the sequels. So we're gonna say nice things first about the sequels before we beat up on them. Got it?
Yes.
Yeah, they're not all bad.
I only really have like maybe one or two like actual nice things on here that I wrote down. Other than that, it's just bashing. But what scene had your favorite music score?
Oh, that's got to be the freeway chase scene.
Everybody loves the freeway chase scene.
Yeah,
and not just for the music.
Yeah, mine personally was when Neo first met Seraph. I don't know, it's just something about that scene and the music. It just sounded amazing.
That chateau fight music.
Yeah, the chateau fight music. It was amazing. What about you, Terry?
I'm not a music guy.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, I guess.
It was fine. Like, I'm not a music buff.
All right. Now kind of dipping into the not so nice. Honestly,
I thought you said you had one other good thing to say before we beat up on the sequels.
Apparently not. I think the music was like the only good thing. I actually did, but
no. I'll jump in and start defending the choreography for the fight scenes was excellent.
Yes. The choreography was amazing.
When it wasn't CG, it was great.
We're gonna get into the CG, and that's gonna be one of the big downfalls.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I guess we can just get into that. There was definitely unnecessary CG.
Yeah,
for sure.
Way too much. And like, how did you put it, Travis, when you said when Neo was all CG, he looked a lot like Colbert?
That's how I said it. That is what I said. CG Neo looks like Stephen Colbert.
Yeah. After you said that, I could not unsee that.
I do see somewhat of a resemblance.
It's all in the mouth. It's like it's one of those goofy things that once you think of it and you see it, like you said, you can't unsee it. Like the CG Superman mustache in Justice League. I didn't notice when I saw it, but when someone pointed it out, I can't unsee it now.
Yeah. Completely forgot about that one.
Low blow.
I should say lack of mustache in that movie.
At least he wasn't wearing like a fake wig.
I will give him credit though. Like, didn't they use CG for all the extra Smiths?
I'm sure they did for a lot of scenes and frames.
Because if they did those, like, they must have put more work into the Smiths than they did with Neo. Because
I think when Smith looks CG in Reloaded, it's okay. It still looks like Hugo Weaving.
Yeah.
But Neo stops looking like Keanu Reeves and just starts looking like Stephen Colbert with shades.
I mean, yeah, I thought you hit it on the nail on the head with it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just unnecessary. There's almost probably 90% of the CGI in the movie just was, you didn't need to do it.
Yeah,
that was noticeable.
Like they could have went more, at least with certain things, more practical effects. Like, for example, when you see Neo up in the sky and he's flying towards wherever their is at. Like, they could have just had, Keanu Reeves on suspension wire and shot the scene that way and then cut to CG.
There's a lot of suspension wire in the movie, though, to be fair.
Well, yeah, there is.
Like that one great shot in the Merovingian's little lobby area with the staircase. Everyone's chasing after Neo and he's jumping from one staircase to the other, flipping through the air. I'm pretty sure all of that's just wire work.
It definitely is. There's a lot of inspiration to those Asian movies that do the wire work.
But I'm just saying, for that one scene, they didn't need to go completely CGI for the entirety, from the time he lifts off to the time he basically fucking lands.
Oh, when he's are you talking about when he's fighting like the 100 army smiths in that park, that basketball court or whatever?
Well, even in there, and at the opening after he fights the super agents and he flies away, like they could have done more practical effects. They didn't need to go full CGI with it.
At the start of the movie when he's fighting the upgrades?
Yeah, well, after he fought the upgrades and he, does his Superman thing for the first time.
I was okay with that. The shot didn't last long. And the first time I saw it, teenage me was like, "Oh, that's so cool."
Yeah, I guess, and for that time, the CGI was actually good for that time.
Well, it was good for the time.
Better than Reboot.
Not bringing that up again.
That's my bar for good CG. It just has to be better than Reboot.
For me, it's Beowulf.
Oh, Beowulf. I almost forgot that existed.
But other than that, some of the CGI was actually pretty good, like with the I think they're actually considered banshees or wraiths or something like that.
I thought they were ghosts.
Yeah, those two guys in the white tuxes and the white dreadlocks.
Yeah.
I do not remember what they called them. They had a name when you would pick their character in the Enter the Matrix video game.
Yeah. But that was actually very good use of CGI there. I'll give them that. That was actually amazing. And to bring it up, like with the Merovingian and his group of rejects or
exiled programs.
They were programs from previous versions of the Matrix. And they explain like that's where like werewolves and vampires come from.
Okay,
it's like that lore.
I was gonna say,
I feel like we could just analyze that explanation for a little bit, because that's like, what the hell are they talking about? These programs are where the legends of vampires and werewolves come from. So wait, this computer's trying to simulate 1999 New York and is trying to recreate like a very human, real world. What part of them was like, yeah, we should probably have vampires and Draculas?
No, those were from old versions of the Matrix, which means that at one point, one of the old versions of the Matrix must have did like a medieval thing.
You think so?
I'm thinking. Yeah,
I think other versions of the Matrix took place in not 1990 New York.
Yeah, I think so. I just can't help but think they're like one of the old Matrix times. They're just like, let's just make them a bunch of peasants in the Middle Ages and see what happens.
I never thought of that as a possibility, but that's really cool.
And that's why we get
the Matrix movie where like jacking in means going back to like Viking days.
I would love to see that.
What would an agent be like in Viking days?
A Norse god, maybe?
Because yeah, there's no reason why that it needs to be in 1999 that the Matrix sets the program sets the Matrix. They could set it at any time period, and since they've done it 6 times, maybe he's experimented with putting them in different time periods. That's just why. That's what I'm going
never
with.
occurred to me. I figured it was like the same rebooted New York City every time. I don't know why I made that assumption, but I did.
It's easy to make that assumption because technically the architect kind of points that out, that it's essentially the same thing, just a variation of the previous.
Well, he said the first time he he did the Matrix, he created paradise, he created Eden, and everyone rejected it. So that was not 1990s New York.
This is true.
That would make sense, yeah.
I don't think you can equate New York City with Eden. Much as you might love it there in New York, I'm sorry, New Yorkers, nothing against New York. But like, I don't even think I don't think anyone anywhere is like, yeah, my hometown's literal paradise where nothing goes wrong.
But that's just what I always thought is that they just tried different time periods, and so we got werewolves and vampires, and those were essentially the soldiers that the Matrix used. So one of the past Neos might have been like a vampire hunter.
Vampire Hunter Neo.
Yeah, Vampire Hunter Neo, like the third version of the Matrix.
Oh, why wasn't that in the Animatrix? I want anime version of Vampire Hunter Neo.
I could totally be wrong. This is just what crossed my mind. I'm like, well, they've had 6 versions. They could have did like a medieval version of it. And because remember, the lady, she shoots the one. She's like, who runs around carries silver bullets, and she like giggles when she says it as she shoots the guy in the face. So he was obviously like a werewolf or vampire type program, and that was the only way to kill him, was with silver bullets.
Yeah, that.
I feel like there's a whole I feel like we've kind of stumbled into this like really awesome part of the Matrix that was never explored.
Right, because like until you pointed that out, I never really gave it 2 thoughts. I was just like, well, are they trying to say that vampires and ghosts are actually a real thing, and we just don't see that anymore?
Yeah, it's just like a couple lines of dialogue in the movie, and they just gloss right over it. You know, the Draculas and the werewolfies? Yeah, that's these guys. Okay, moving on.
I just assumed that's what it was, is that it sounded to me like they were just previous programs from older Matrixes that the guy brought with him, because he's like, these are going to be useful for me. I'm going to make sure you guys don't get wiped out.
Could you imagine if Smith like happened to absorb or turn one of those like werewolves or vampire ghosts?
But they would just
himself?
become a Smith just like him. He rewrites their programming.
But technically, like with the super agents and whatnot, when he does that, they retain their upgrades and capabilities. At least that's how it was stated in.
I don't know, maybe. But now I just want Neo Vampire Hunter.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
I want Viking Neo.
He can join Abraham Lincoln, and they can kill vampires together.
Now.
Yeah. Oh. Love silence.
Sorry about that. I...
Oh, okay.
Enjoy the editing.
Yeah. Now, one thing I'm kind of curious about, why did the Matrix bother upgrading the agents?
To punch Neo.
Clearly it didn't matter.
Well, one of them caught his fist at one point, so like it was a little better. And if you want to beat somebody in a fight, you can't just go from like, I've never been in a fight to heavyweight world champion in just a day. Like, you got to work up to it. So, you know, they got to start somewhere with the upgrades. They're working on it.
I mean, they weren't even really a match for Smith.
All the more reason for them to want to do it.
I thought part of the reason why they were doing the upgrades was to also deal with Smith, since he's an uncontrollable program.
I guess so, but they've upped the juice. Easily be converted.
You mean just become resistant to Smith? I think should have been their most important thing to stop him from just essentially taking over.
Yeah, like that would have made more sense. Like if they knew, if the Matrix knew Smith is a problem, Okay, yeah, Neo was a kind of a thorn in their side, but I would have been like, my priority is getting him on.
Well, I think part of it was the architect thought he would be able to get Neo to agree to the whole, like, so many men get to live, so many women get to live, and they would just do a reboot, and in the reboot process of rebooting, they would just solve all those problems. But he decides to be like, no, I'm gonna go become Jesus now, and so the architect's like, oh, I did not see that coming.
Ooh, excuse me. Even if he did end up going to the sword, there's a theory out there that if he would have done that, nothing, because technically, whatever he did to Smith at the end of he partially imprinted his code free. So technically, a lot of people with Neo and Smith to, at least that's a seen lately.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. There's a lot of fan theories out there.
I don't know. I just thought that theory was an interesting one.
So if they don't work together, the Matrix just can't reset at all.
I don't know. Like that's just it. Like I looked at that and like, well, hey, that actually seems kind of interesting.
I haven't followed the theory.
How would that work?
I need to go watch it and then punch holes in it and make fun of people.
Yeah, beats me, man.
Like with
can
Neo,
we take a moment to can we take a moment to say the architect's kind of a douche?
Oh, dude, I fucking can't stand that guy. Like
he blames the humans for the Matrix not being perfect. It's like, it's your fault the Matrix isn't perfect.
He's the one that makes the Matrix.
But he's the one that makes the Matrix, so it's he's blaming it on somebody else. He's like, I'm really bad at my job. It's your fault.
A poor craftsman blames his tools.
But now, like, you know, Smith also said in the first move, humans were a virus to be wiped out. So I don't know. Maybe there's some merit to what our architect says.
Didn't they do the same thing in Men in Black? Like, they talk about how the human race, though they consider the human race to be a virus.
I think so. I don't entirely remember.
It was in the first movie.
I don't really know what Smith's ultimate goal really is. Like, in the first movie, he's all like, yeah, the humans are a virus and we're the cure. Okay, so his goal is to wipe out humans, right? And then he's like, I've got to get out of this matrix. I have to be free. So then he does get out of the matrix, but then in the sequel, he's like back in the matrix. Or no, the sequel is when he leaves the matrix, he uploads into some random guy and he's out of the matrix. And then he's like, I hate this fleshy body. It's dumb. And then he's back in the Matrix for the final movie, and he's like yelling at Neo, like, "This is my world, my world." So it's like, okay, so you want to rule over the Matrix, but I thought you wanted to get out of the Matrix, but I thought you wanted to kill humanity. What are you doing? What is your goal?
The grass is always greener on the other side. He thought it'd be really cool outside of it, and then he's like, "This is dumb. Humans are dumb. I'm going to take my ball and go home now." And then Neo's there. Neo's like, "Yo, I'm like Superman in the Matrix," and he's like, "No, I'm the center of the Matrix. Stop it."
I guess.
I don't know what to tell you.
Now, on the subject of Smith, like, all right, he basically assimilated Bane or Thane or whatever. Well, his operator on that ship would not have been paying attention, because when he like did it to Neo for the, like, Link noticed, hey, something's going funky with the code, and wouldn't that have raised suspicion when it was happening with Bane?
I guess if someone was watching the code when it happened.
Yeah, maybe the guy was just on having a coffee break.
I mean,
just didn't see it happen.
I don't know. I just that was one of my hard points of getting over. All right, clearly nobody was paying attention when this was happening. What the fuck, guys? But I don't know that.
I think I got it with Smith. What's going on? He's absorbed too many programs, and so he's essentially got a lot of voices in his head.
And that's another thing. Are they like are all the Smiths like a hive mind type of deal?
I imagine so. Yeah.
Because it looks like he's like, I need more, and then all of a sudden more just fucking start flooding in during the Neo fight scene.
Well, he's obviously taken over like more programs in the Matrix to reinforce himself. So yeah, one would assume it's got to be some kind of hive mind thing he's got going on.
It would have to be. There's way too much coordination among them for each of them to be thinking and feeling independently.
So he's like the Borg.
Yes.
Org. So, I don't know.
But I still think it's kind of caused him to go insane.
Because you could kind of tell at the start he's kind of relatively normal Smith-esque.
Yeah, he's like a normal agent.
And then
like there's nothing special about in the beginning.
And then by the time you get to either the Neo fight scene with towards the Keymaker, he seems a little more, I don't know, not crazy, but what's the word I'm looking? Not himself. I had the word and I lost it.
So the Keymaker is a program that can just apparently open any other program.
I think that's it. Like, kind of what I took away with it was that he's basically the guy with all the passwords to all the things.
Oh, so he's like a notepad on someone's computer that's really bad with security, and so they just put all the passwords on the notepad.
Now,
Yeah,
and then
he's the notepad.
And then their company gets hacked, and they're like, "How did this happen?" And the one dude's sitting over there, he's like, I have no idea how they hacked everything."
was the Merovingian keeping the Keymaker hostage, or was the Keymaker just hiding out there?
I'm pretty sure he just like took him against his will, because the Keymaker was way too willing to help the good guys. He seemed pretty happy to do it.
He wanted to get out of there.
But if he can make a that could take you to just about anywhere, why didn't he disappear and hide from the Merovingian himself?
There's a lot of stuff revolving around the Keymaker that just doesn't make a lot of sense.
I would go with the Keymaker. Even if he escaped, he knew that they would come after him, so he was waiting for someone to come along that had the power to actually free him. Else he'd just get recaptured over and over again.
I mean, honestly, I probably could have the movie without requiring the Keymaker. It would have taken some working around, but I could have worked. But then again, we wouldn't have gotten the freeway scene then.
Freeway scene.
Everybody loved the freeway scene.
Yeah, I'll forgive a whole lot of the movie's BS if it gets me to the freeway scene.
You ever notice in the Matrix, apparently all vehicles are just super explodey?
Yes,
like
what?
that. Like that's a coding thing right there. Like someone messed up with the code.
And apparently, just like the slightest hit, they just flip over as well or start rolling.
Physics just works different in the Matrix.
It's almost like the programmer for the Matrix worked in Hollywood or something.
Yeah, it almost is. Remember what they say. Going on the freeway is suicide.
Then let's just hope I was wrong.
So yeah, they were obviously quite aware of how physics works in the Matrix, and they're like, "This is a bad idea to go on that freeway. Everything's just a bomb."
And you know, I've been beginning to think lately. At least it kind of hit me watching Reloaded. I genuinely don't think is that good of a guy.
Whoa.
Like if you think about it, in the first movie, he basically almost gets his entire crew killed just to go see the Oracle. And then in the second,
that's not his fault.
Then in the second one, he gets another crew blown the fuck up, basically.
Hey, Morpheus said it himself right in the movie that they're in the middle of a war and like soldiers die in war and you could die anytime and stuff, and so suck it up. That's me paraphrasing, but that's essentially where he was at with it.
I don't know. I just feel Morpheus himself is just bad luck. People die when Morpheus is around.
But that's because he's taken on the most dangerous missions. Like he's the only one that's willing to risk it. You see everyone else sitting around in Zion being being all like, "Oh man, should we even send out the ships? Like, it sounds super dangerous. Let's just all chill around here." And Morpheus is like, "We got to get shit done, boys. We got to get shit done."
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know.
Yeah, the more dangerous the job, the better the pay.
Do they actually get paid doing this
Yeah.
stuff?
I started wondering that as soon as I said it.
Like, I understand they're doing it to protect Zion, but are they really getting anything in return for going out for weeks or months on or whatever, risking their lives?
I don't think Zion, the way it was portrayed, really has an economy. I'm pretty sure it's just working on a trade goods system.
Well, I mean, that must be the case. I mean, all their council members wear robes all damn day.
They look like very comfortable bathrobes, though.
I don't want one of those bathrobes.
How often do they do those rave parties?
Right? Like,
is that like a normal thing to do rave parties like every day?
I don't know. I want to say they probably get together maybe once or twice a month. They're like, hey, let's rave. Let's get all sweaty and wet and
then you
dance
can see
in the mud.
Some memories.
Yeah.
They get a little feisty.
Oh, one of my biggest issues with the movie. I swear to God, it felt like the relationship between Neo and Trinity, it was forced.
Oh, yeah, it's one of the most forced relationships ever.
Like, they're like, oh, shit, Neo didn't have enough emotion in the first movie. Well, let's force him to be all lovey-dovey in this movie.
But he looked at Trinity like all the time in the first movie. God, it must mean that like he's super duper in love with her because he keeps looking at her.
The fact that they had him going from being extremely emotional to just essentially being emotionless.
Well, he only cares about Trinity apparently. Everyone else can just
it just kept flipping, and it got annoying. Like, I don't know, that just the relationship itself.
Yeah, I could have done without the entire relationship.
I mean, I wasn't trying to be that harsh, but okay.
I will be. Like, it's the relationship between Neo and Trinity is on par with Bella and Edward. It's bad.
And you know, Neo probably could have taken the job of the Oracle. Apparently, he has better visions, better than the Oracle ever does.
He does seem to have some superpowers, doesn't he?
Like,
yes.
Do they never explain why he gets these visions? Like he's a prophet too?
It's because he's the chosen one, man. And it's not like he sees everyone's future, only those people that he's close to. Like, he doesn't see random people's futures. Only people important to the plot.
Maybe if he could have seen a little further ahead or a little more into that future, maybe fuck up.
Harsh.
Hey, I calls it like I sees. All right.
Look, it's Jedi powers, okay?
Do you got any things you want to really cover, Terry?
Oh, I talked about the rave, and I revealed that I have the best idea ever, which is apparently Neo Vampire Viking Hunter. Seriously, that sounds like the best Netflix special, actually. I'm going to bring that back around to the first one. Like, there we go. I'm going to expand on the Netflix special.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Like, there's so much they could do with that. Like I said, man, there's 5 Matrixes before. That's a lot of room to just go do something crazy with it.
You know who I could have had more screen?
Who's that?
Seraph. I loved Seraph.
How did he get carried over from the last Matrix? Because, yeah, I don't even want to get into it.
Well, there's a lot of different stories on the way he is and why his code golden.
Well, he's in X the One. He was like, from what I understand, he's supposed to be like the one from a past Matrix iteration.
Maybe feudal Japan. Like, no.
Well, Chowskis would definitely have gotten into that.
Right?
Yeah, they are big anime fans. From what I understand.
Yeah, that's from what I've heard as well. Like I said, you can see it reflected in it with with some of the like scenes and the choreography. So
there you go, Wachowski. Give Seraph a fucking. I would like to know more about him.
What would Seraph? What would they call it? If we need a catchy title.
I'll have to get back to you on that.
Well, this is why you're not going to get that next Netflix special. You need to have this stuff ready. Like me, like I said, my Viking Vampire Hunter Neo is going to go over really well with Netflix.
You're going to have to approach them with that idea.
Yep. It's going to be amazing.
I would just like to know more, because you only see Sarah for, 10 minutes? And half the time the orb vaguely talking about... And yeah, you get a 5-minute fight scene with him, but other than that, it's...
Well, there's a lot of that just kind of goes down in the movie.
Waste of a character.
Well, I mean, just look at the Oracle. It really feels like she there's a lot more she could just be like actually telling us, but she's super vague about like everything. It's like, I thought you could see the future, and she's just like, oh yeah, I can. I'm not going to tell you shit.
Yeah, because if she ended up telling what they wanted to know, well, then the movie would be...
No, it won't. He'd still have to go out and do things. I mean, there's definitely stuff I'm sure she could have told Neo that would have helped him a lot.
And you know, if she was so vague and drug out, that maybe Neo might not have that confrontation with Smith. She's like, oh no, here, Candy.
I love Candy.
Yep, that's enough for now. Our conversation's done. I'm gonna head out. Oh, don't mind the fact that I can totally sense like about 100 Smiths right around the corner.
You got
Bye, have fun. Good luck with that.
Yeah, she knew those Smiths were coming, and she intentionally just jacked around instead of telling him what he needed to know. Really left him hanging there.
The Oracle's one of the few, whenever I'm watching the movies and there's, bathroom break, snack, whatever, I have the time, because it's going to be like a 15-minute talk.
Where you learn nothing.
Yeah, or you learn something that you already know.
Travis Thornton, in third grade, I kicked a kickball over a fence and blamed it on another kid, and he got in trouble. Also, The Matrix Reloaded was rated R, and it was my first R-rated movie. I love you all. Bye.